All right, so the next thing that we're going to do, now that we've implemented route protection on the list notes route and on the delete note route, we're going to move over now to our update note route. And this one's going to be pretty straightforward to do. There's not really going to be anything new here as far as I know. But we are going to have to do something similar to what we did with the delete route and change find one and update to actually finding one, making sure the user owns that note, and then updating it. So anyway, here's what all this is going to look like. We're again going to use a try-catch block here. I'll show you shortly how to prevent having to do this every time too, by the way. And we're going to say catch. The catch block is going to be the same thing as we saw before. We're going to say response.sendStatus 401. And now, first thing inside this try-catch block, we're going to get the auth token from the request headers. So const auth token equals request.headers. And underneath that now, we're going to verify it using Firebase auth, or Firebase admin, that is. So we'll say import all as admin from Firebase admin. And then we're going to say const auth user equals await admin.auth.verify ID token, and we're going to try and verify that auth token that we have here. All right? So now that we have that, we're going to have to do what I said before and make sure that this user actually owns this note here. So we're going to change find one and update to just find one. And after we've found the note with this ID, okay, I'm just going to move this stuff down temporarily. After we've found that note, we're going to need to make sure that the user owns that note by saying if note, and here let's change this from result to note since it's actually a note now, if note.createdBy does not equal the auth user's UID property, then we're going to send back a 403 status code by saying response.sendStatus 403. Okay, and let's make sure to put that return statement before this to prevent any of the code after it from executing. And the next thing that we're going to do, once we've made sure that the user actually owns that note, we're going to say await notesdb dot update one. Okay, and we're going to update that note where the ID is equal to note ID. So we're going to use that same query there, say ID equals note ID. And the updates we're going to make here is going to be setting title and content to whatever was specified in the request body. And we no longer need this return document after thing because that's only something we need when we're doing find one and update. All right, and to calculate the updated note, actually, now that I've deleted all of that stuff, what I want to do is actually change this back to find one and update. Okay, so we're going to say, there we go. We're going to change this back to find one and update because we do need the updated note once we've actually updated it in the database. Now we could just compute this ourselves by combining the properties, but generally it's better to know what you're getting in the database. So let's say find one and update. We're going to leave that return document after, and we're going to make ID equal to note ID. And that should be all we need. So we're just going to say const result here equals await notesdb blah, blah, blah. And updated note again is going to be result.value. And finally, we're going to say response.json updated note. So you may notice that what we actually ended up doing here was just inserting these lines in before what we had, right? This stuff is all basically the same logic that we had before, but we just added this safeguard up here to make sure that users can only update their own data. All right. So now that we've done that, let's test this out by going over to our application. We're going to add a new note, which we still haven't added any safeguards to, by the way. And what we're going to do in here is say something like hello, click on create, and let's try and update this note now. We're going to click edit. We're going to type something like does this work? And click save changes. And sure enough, it looks like it updated that note correctly. So again, just to test and make sure that this doesn't work for users other than this user, let's open up Postman and try and make that same request by saying put notes / blah, blah, blah. We're going to turn off this auth token. We're going to go into body and add some updates here. So let's try and update the title to hacked. And the content here, oops, which needs to be in double quotes there. Let's try and update the content to you have been hacked. All right, so we're going to click on send now, and it looks like we got null as a response and a 200 OK status code, which means maybe we did something wrong. So let's go back and take a look here. And first of all, let's see if we really did get hacked by reloading the page. And okay, so it looks like we actually didn't get hacked. So I wonder what we did. Oh, you know what? That happened because this ID belongs to a note that no longer exists. So let's try this again. What we're going to do here is we're going to get the note's ID from MongoDB. So let's open up MongoDB again. So we'll say db.notes.find. We're going to copy this note's ID now, and we're going to paste it inside the URL in Postman. And there we go. So one more thing here. I noticed that we had an error that was happening. I think that this is just the weird conflict error that I get every now and then. So let's try just killing it and running our server and front end again, and everything should work just like before. All right, so everything's looking good. Let's try sending this. And sure enough, we get 401 unauthorized. So now if we go back and add this auth token back to our request and click send, what we're going to see is that everything worked, except now obviously we didn't get hacked because it's us. Or a hacker got a hold of your ID token, which is a completely different topic here. So let's just change this back to, nope, it's just me. And we'll set the content to, it's all good. Okay, so we'll click send. That should take care of updating that note for us. And now if we go back here, we'll see that those changes are in effect inside our front end. Cool, so that's how we protect our update note route from unauthorized users changing our notes. So I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.